Ladies and gentlemen, for those who are Muslim, I invite you to recite Basmalah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, to start our academic writing for 3 months, starting today from November, December to January, in cooperation with Tohoku University. Thankfully, to our colleague, Professor Dr. Peter John Warner, already provide his time and opportunity for us, all of us, to join this join class together, initiated by IUCRS, Indonesian Universities Consortium on Social Religious Studies, that initiated by Dewan Pendidikan Kabupaten Maros, the board of the Council of Educational of Kabupaten Maros, South Sulawesi of Indonesia. Our program will be at least 16 meeting from November, December to January, and in between we will have seminars, and then through the support of Bolt and the support of Tohoku University, we just have the Tohoku University International Interdisciplinary Seminar, and that's the end of program with Bolt and Tohoku, since technically Sensei will move to retirement time. So we don't have another time, but hopefully we could find another young lecturers that could drive these cooperations. And then we will have Professor Dr. Peter John Warner to have with us during the class, these 16 meetings and seminars between us. And then without further ado, I'd like to invite Professor Dr. Peter Johan to run our class, academic writing, as a joint class between the universities here in Indonesia. Times is yours, Sensei.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the introduction. Today I'm going to try and give an introduction to what I'm going to be doing for the next few sessions over the 3 months that I'll be talking to you. First of all, excellence in our writing is critical for our success. So in many academic fields or professional pursuits, we need to know how to write academically. So there are basically many sets of guidelines set by different organizations. And if we can follow these clear and precise guidelines, it can help authors to write and communicate more effectively. I'm going to try and draw on experience that I've had over the years in teaching academic writing, and also on experience I've had in giving short seminars on how to write academically at various locations throughout Asia. The academic writing is used in many disciplines, and one of the main disciplines that is used in is psychology, which ranges in areas of nursing, social work, communications, education. We have business and engineering, and we also have other disciplines for the how we prepare our manuscripts. So I'm going to be talking about a lot of the general applications that the APA uses, but they can be, there are variations that can be applied for different areas or other fields. But for these sessions that I'm going to be presenting at, I'm going to talk pretty much about the APA style. So why use an APA style if you do use APA style? Well, APA style is one of the foundations that provides effective scholarly communication. Um, and it does this because it helps the authors present their ideas in a clear, concise, and organized manner. Um, and this by providing uniformity and consistency, readers can focus on ideas and they can work on their ideas and how they are being presented rather than the formatting that of their papers. So we have to learn how to scan works very quickly and identify our key points, the essential information that allows the readers in to avoid distractions, um, such as inconsistencies or omissions. Um, and if we can keep these out, we can help other people understand what we're writing better. So the when does style work best? When is the best time that we can use style? Well, usually, if ideas flow logically and are organized inside of our paper logically and consistently, then we will be able to present our ideas very well to the people who are reading our papers, and they can follow up on that in their research. So um, people have to use the language and authors have to plan accordingly. And one of the ways that authors have to plan is to um, follow such areas such as maybe ethical compliance, which is one of the areas I'm going to be talking about. Um, they have to report the critical details of their research and their protocol by following certain ethical principles that are set by different journals or by universities overall to allow the readers so that they can evaluate their findings and the other researchers to potentially re, redo the study themselves. And they can understand how to create concise and understandable tables and figures or data inside their research that they are actually writing. So um, whether you use APA style or another style in your career, you're going to be following a certain style that is set by the university or the journal generally. Each university has different styles that they accept, and some universities accept 3 or 4 styles. Um, uh, Tohoku University is probably one of these universities which has many styles that it accepts depending on the discipline in which the paper is being written. But in my area of discipline, most of the papers in my departments are written in APA style. And this is the one I'm most familiar with. So this is what I'm going to be talking about because it applies to a lot of areas. But as I said, there will be variations that you can apply depending on the area of your study. So um, I'd like to provide you guidance on how you can develop your papers and scholarship, do scholarly publications. And I also want to give you a chance to work towards a single topic and speak about an area that is possible when you choose a topic that you're actually going to be writing about. The guidelines of scholarly writing have been revised consistently over the 30 years while I've been writing myself, and so they are continually changing, but there are some areas that are still consistently maintained, and I'm hoping to touch on those areas over the sessions that we will be talking about. So the the areas that I want to talk about is the first area I'm going to talk to you about. Will next week or our next session is going to be I'm going to concentrate on the ethical issues. So I'm going to try and discuss how these ethical issues affect our inquiry, making it is it possible that we can actually do our research in one area and not do something that is unethical or considered not appropriate. So I'm going to discuss about how each school sets ethical guidelines, or each country has different ethical guidelines. And what are the guidelines that the APA has? The guidelines of ethics have been developed very well. And in fact, we have, even at Tohoku University, we have ethics committees and guidelines which we must follow as researchers here if we want to try and put a publication forward or do research. And if we don't follow those guidelines, we cannot publish in the journals here at the university or move forward with actual research papers with students if they do not follow the ethical guidelines that are set. So one of the things we teach in courses here also is we have an ethics course that actually teaches all these guidelines in fine detail, so the students know how to apply to the ethics committee and how they can move forward with research in their area. The other area I'm going to talk to you about is how we develop our comprehensive information of manuscripts. What is the develop? How do we develop our ideas and organize them? And the organization is very important. So usually for each manuscript, we have to describe the purpose and the core content very well, how it should appear in the text. So I'm going to talk about the journal article reporting standards, and I will try to bring in some variety of different types of areas in which journal reporting standards are set for different journals. As a reviewer myself, I have to follow these journal reporting standards and apply them when I'm reviewing articles or working as an editor for different journals. And so therefore, if we are aware of these standards, then we can try to meet them before we put them forward to try and get an article published. The other area I will try to discuss a little bit in that area is also how to set up tables or figures, how we organize them in a paper, and how we can apply the data effectively.
Okay, Sensei, could we make it one by one? Because somehow, if we already too long discussion, I'm afraid that our participant will be bored
Okay.
over them. So
Okay.
I already note from your presentation or from your class that if we have to start our academic writing, it is about the organization. So
Yes.
one of the guidance of the academic writing is APA style. So
Yes.
we have another style for sure. We have MLA, we have Harvard style, Vancouver, and etc. And then somehow when we have idea, so we need to organize this idea to the table, to the graphic, or to the picture, to make our reader not only focusing on the word by word or letter by letter, but somehow they will have the quote unquote entertainment. So this is the first embark. Yeah, if we need to understand the academic writing, please your comment.
So as you said, we need to know how to organize our paper well. And so as was saying the most difficult thing for most people in trying to organize their research is to make it doable, to make it um, possible to actually write a research paper of a certain length um, in a certain area. So many times it requires fine tuning, and people have to do research into different areas of past research and then actually evaluate that research and then see what area that might move them towards doing further research in themselves, and then specify or work on a certain specific problem or a specific area within another area of research that they have studied, and fine tune it well enough that they can probably get it written into a paper of 2,000 words if they're doing it for a journal article, or develop it well enough if they're developing it for a master's paper or for a doctor's paper. So this is something that they would have to um, do through much reading of past research and also discussions, or actually going to various seminars or workshops, or even what they actually learn in their courses through their university. So I hope that would help develop in that area. Like I said, I will be talking about how the styles are written, what type of style, and how we develop our text. Um, the basic one of the areas I will be talking about is the introduction, where we introduce our purpose. Then following that with our methodology, telling what type of methods we're going to do to follow through on our research, or whether we're going to look at a problem and then try to analyze a certain problem and make hypotheses, and then follow through with the research that we do, past research and how it's applicable. Then make on the methodology, we will provide the way that we're actually going to move forward with our research, and then do a results and the results that we get from our research, and then do a discussion comparing that research with the other research, and then finally coming up with a conclusion at the end where we can actually guide other authors to work in further on our research area, or to move off into another direction, and try to work on another area of our research which we could not work on well enough, and is possibly has opportunities for more research in another by another person. Okay. Does that does that answer the question?
Yeah, thank you, Sensei. That's the first note of our academic writing, and then you can go ahead, Sensei.
Okay. So moving further, like I said, in another section where I will be giving a presentation, I will talk about specific changes to the content, talking about how we have the headers, how we have the headers of our essays. So that I'm going to be looking a lot at the different areas of style. So whether the header is actually on margin on the left margin, in the middle margin, or whether we use bold, or whether we whether what font we can use, or different things that are set up as guidelines by journals, and following the preferences that they actually set. So I'm going to look at those areas, and also talk about what is considered good language choices or bad language choices, using certain vocabulary. So what type of vocabulary is considered acceptable for academic writing, while other vocabulary is considered less academic. And then I will be talking about how we can continue to keep up with the acceptable vocabulary, or the use of passive or active voice because these two types of voice in writing are um, used differently depending on the research that we're actually working in. Um, for social um, for social research, we may find that there's a lot more um, we would have more active writing inside social research, while with scientific research we have more of the passive more passive writing inside. So whether we use passive or um, active voice in our writing, I'll be talking a little bit about that also, and what, when and where it is considered appropriate. um, another session which I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to be talking about the statistic. I'll be talking about statistics. Statistics are very important, um, as we rely on quantitative and qualitative research. Quantity, the quantity and numbers that we use to validate our research are very important. So I'll be talking about how how we can actually introduce these statistical research and use the appropriate factors to validate our
Uh,
research wherever we can. Yes. And the next area that we will be working on is procedures for the graphic materials. Like I said, there are different ways that we can organize our graphs or tables. We can set up the um, we can set them we can do, various types of figures and graphs, which I'm going to introduce in just one session itself, and actually how we use the headers at the top or the bottom for those tables or figures. Um, each journal has different ways that they actually do it. Some of them will be using boxes. Other journals don't prefer the use of boxes. Borders, the use of borders in our tables. This is another thing that various journals have different guidelines, and so I will talk about those guidelines and what are the advantages to having tables with borders, a lot of borders inside, or what is the advantages to not having the borders and just having a very clear white space in between. Which one is easier to understand? We'll be looking at those areas. I'm also going to talk about another area that is very important. The section I'm going to talk about is the consolidation of information. How do we consolidate information from other research into our research? So basically, I'm going to talk about citations, how we do citations in text, how we do citations um, when we are actually doing the reference sections. How do we organize our citations in the reference section? And how do we double check and make sure that the reference section matches with our citations in our text? These are checked very carefully by editors and journals also. The citations are very important because citations are what give us our um, credit for our own research, or give credit to other researchers who are where we actually get information from. So this is very important. The next area which I'm going to cover is going to talk about um, different types of examples on how we can do online sourcing, how we can get data from, how do we record references from online sourcing, because this has become more common, and um, we need to know how to write the addresses and organize them inside our references, or what type of software, what type of data is available that we can use to organize our references section and make sure that it is in proper order. The other area I'm going to be talking about in another session will be I'm going to focus on the publication process. So I'm going to talk about how we can prepare our paper and make sure that it is ready for publication. What is a checklist that we can use? And if we do this certain checklist, how can we make sure that all the areas are covered and taken care of? Because peer review is one of the key areas that takes place with many journals. And if it's not a peer reviewed journal, then most likely the journal is not of high scope of standing. But if it is a peer reviewed journal, you can get a higher uh, quality scoring and also more credit for the articles that you're actually writing. Um, so I will talking about that as well as the ethical and the legal problems that when we're actually writing on certain areas, if we are working in some very important areas such as dealing with the um, licensing a work or a process which we actually are trying to justify in our research that is new. So the basically um, there are different format aids. There are different format aids that we can use. Like I said, if we can look at examples of other tables or figures, if how do we set up our table of contents if we're using doing research papers? Uh, what are the common ways of putting the data when we want to put data in. If we're not going to use it, if we have a big table or a small table, what is the proper way to do it? In this case, I'm going to be talking about the appendix area for theses. Um, Usually the appendix uses long tables and you refer to the back of your paper for the appendix, where if you have a small table, it's usually put within inside the text. So it's easy to refer to in the reading. But if you put a long table or a long or very big figure inside the middle of your paper and it takes up 2 pages or 3 pages, it can be distracting while trying to read through a paper. In that case, usually it's much easier to access that and the appendixes at the end of the paper. So um, these are areas that I will be covering in the sessions as I'm going to be discussing. Today, I just wanted to introduce these areas, and I would like to find out from you, those of you who are online, what areas is it that you are concerned in specifically so that I can try to touch on a few of those areas in more detail when I actually do the next sessions. Because some of you are students, some of you are teachers or professors. So I'm open to getting comments or questions right now and answering those. Today, my purpose was just to introduce what I will be talking about and ways in which I hope to help out through the sessions that will be following. Are there any questions? You could raise your hand or put a something in the chat box. You can type a question in the chat box if you're worried about the asking a question. You can type it. as I said, today is just a introduction into the area. I would like to get ideas on specifically what you hope to get out of um, this course area, because I know most of you are all working on academic writing, and many of the things I will be talking about may be overlapping with some things that you've already learned. Hopefully, that you will learn something new from what I discuss in the future. I can wait about 10 minutes and see if there's any questions. If there's no questions, maybe today I will um, be closing the session today early, because it's just an introduction into um, the APA formats that I will be talking about in how we can actually write and organize papers, and very specific, clear areas. Okay, it appears there's no questions from the audience today. And hence I'm going to return for the next session, and I will be discussing the publishing principles, um, basically dealing with the types of articles and papers, ethical, legal, and professional standards in publishing, protecting rights and welfare of research participants and subjects, um, protecting intellectual property rights, and also about the publishing principles for the next seminar. I will be doing a very detailed presentation of this next session. Today I was just introducing the overall areas I will cover in the small seminars that will be following this. Small sessions. So until our next session, um, I will sign out, and I wish you to have a nice day. Thank you very much.